Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Amber Killer. This is my content series slash podcast, Friend Crush, where we talk about being hot and having fun, cute, chaotic, and critical thinking. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, SoundCloud, and listen to the podcast in audio form on Spotify and the subscriber only episodes. Okay, I hope everyone's doing well, and let's get straight into it. Okay, today's topic is confidence and how to be unbothered. So I get this question a lot, particularly when I'm on TikTok live. I have girls asking me like, how can I be more confident? How can I care less about what other people think? How can I be unbothered? And I don't think that the world is like at a shortage of content around this particular topic. So I don't think I'm necessarily going to say anything that's totally new, but I'm trying to present like a different perspective so that this information can stick in your brain and you can get to work. Okay. If you're spending too much time comparing yourself to other people, feeling insecure and not feeling confident, being bothered by everything, there are two major factors that I think people overlook when discussing this topic. The first is that you are bored, and the second is that you are a hater. Okay. And if you can reconcile with these two overarching themes in your life, or notice where they're like taking hold of your mental space, then you can start to move out of an insecure or bothered state of mind. Okay, because I think that's what it really is. It's a state of mind. It's not a identity unless you continue to reinforce this state of mind. It becomes your identity. Okay, so when you think of it as something that can be changed and is flexible in terms of how you think about yourself and how you think about the world, then you can start to take control over how you see yourself and how you engage with the world, and whether or not you care about what other people think of you, okay, or to what degree. So let's break these two topics down into subcategories, and I'm just going to kind of try to run through it so this video isn't too long. But if you have any questions or you want other content on specific things, let me know in the comments. Okay, so firstly, if you are spending too much time comparing yourself to other people, wondering what they're thinking about you, and suffering from a overwhelming sense of cringe and self-cringe, it's possible that you are bored. Okay, this is just the language that I'm using so that you can depersonalize rather than thinking, oh, it's because I'm not good enough, it's because I'm not enough. It's like, oh, I'm actually just bored. Okay, I'm bored because I'm wasting mental energy and energy on thinking about what other people think of me rather than living my life and doing what I enjoy. Okay, I have another video where I talk about do what you enjoy, and my overarching life philosophy is being hot and having fun, but we'll get to that. So you're bored. Okay, think about the fact that you have a certain amount of energy every day. I think especially when you come from a people-pleasing mindset, you feel like, oh, you just have so much to give and you can just give and give and give and think and think and think, but that's not actually the case. Like as you get older and your body starts to age and you decompose, you realize that, oh, you only have a certain amount of energy a day, and in order to make the most of your life, you need to be intentional and you need to have an awareness to the things that you do and the way that you spend your time and energy, so that it's not being wasted on silly things like wondering what people who you don't even know, who don't know you, think of you. Okay, so you're bored. How to remedy this? Get a life. Okay, consumption is not a hobby. This is going to be a separate video, but scrolling on TikTok, watching videos, watching TV, consuming, purchasing, that is not a hobby. Okay, you cannot consider that a hobby unless there is an extra layer of creativity on top of it, such as you consume for the sake of reviewing products or creating content around certain products. You consume content and you do some kind of analysis or content creation around it. That adds another layer of critical thought and analysis that is forward moving rather than just static or an involution, thinking in a loop rather than thinking in a way that allows for progress, open-ended thinking. So consumption is not a hobby and you need to get a life. So how you can find purpose with the way that you spend your time and energy. And your purpose doesn't have to be some grand, like I'm gonna create world peace, I'm gonna like save the children. It doesn't have to be grandiose. You can define this for yourself. So I talk about my life philosophy being hot and having fun. And being hot and having fun is not just, oh, being physically attractive and adhering to the beauty standard and being validated for it, or just living hedonistically. Being hot and having fun is defined on a granular level for me. So being hot, it does include looking good, but it includes feeling good too. So practicing and participating in hobbies and activities that allow me to feel good in my body, in my skin suit, okay? And I talk about hot girl habits and physical activity. So for me, going to yoga class, doing YouTube workouts at home, going to pole dance class, going to dance classes, trying different things that allow me to engage with my body, engage with my femininity, my sexuality in ways that aren't just like me being validated for being a pretty object, okay? So I believe that beauty comes from within if I'm managing my emotions, if I have self-care practices that allow me to stay grounded and to be intentional with my time. That's part of being hot and having fun. Having fun also means engaging in critical thinking, coming up with new ideas, content creating, trying to have a neutral to positive impact on the world around me and my relationships, like whether that's in person or online. And at the same time, there being nuance to this, like still being able to maintain boundaries and to say no to inappropriate behavior or to any infringement of my boundaries, or ensuring that I have a positive self-talk and that I'm self-affirming and that I'm also positively affirming other people as well. This is all part of being hot and having fun, okay? Being able to make money sustainably and also spend in a way that's enjoyable while still saving money. Like, these are the nuances to being hot and having fun for me. And I think that you don't have to have the same philosophy or catchphrase as me, but having something that you return to, so that anytime you're faced with a certain challenge or you're dealing with uncomfortable feelings and experiences, you have like a North Star to return to be like, oh, I'm not being hot, I'm not having fun in this moment. What can I do to remedy that? Okay, how can I get back on the path? Because it's not like your journey is going to be linear, but you can have an overarching theme that you're trying to achieve. And I use the 80-20 rule. So if 80% of my time and energy is being spent on feeling good and living my truth, feeling like I'm living with intention and that I'm spending my time wisely, and 20% is like unaccounted for, or I'm not certain of, or I have like wiggle room for, then I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just in the 20% today and it's a tough day today, and tomorrow we wake up and we try again. Or this is just a challenge that I'm working through so that I can get back to that 80%. Maybe without even realizing, your life purpose has been feeling sorry for yourself and being ugly. And being honest with yourself about that is important so that you can define what theme you actually want, okay? If it's not that, what can it be? And what are the things that you need to do to get there? Next thing, exercise your free will. You can actually do whatever you want. I remember one time I was in therapy and I kept saying like, I feel like I should do this, I should do that. And my therapist was like, there is no should. Actually, okay, you could wake up in the morning and piss on your bed if you want to, but you don't, because, in order to maintain a clean room and to have some decorum, you don't piss on your bed when you wake up in the morning. But you could do that if you wanted to. And realizing that you could do a lot of things if you wanted to, and you can do whatever you want, actually. For example, you can print out a picture of Ed Sheeran, girl boss meme, and get it framed and leave it in your studio/study. That's what I'm doing, okay? You can just buy like 6 orchids in a pot and have them in your background if you want. Like, you can do whatever you want, exercise your free will, and just do things that you enjoy and that make you happy. Even if other people think it's weird or nobody cares, it doesn't matter. Like, as long as you're having a good time and it contributes to your happiness in a way that isn't detrimental to other people, why not, So I do this within the framework of being hot and having fun because, I like to spend money, but I also like to have money. So I'm not going to just frivolously spend money to detriment of my savings. I have to find a reasonable middle ground for myself. I remember sending my guy friend a picture of the memes that I have hung up in my apartment, and he was like, well, what are you going to do if a guy comes over? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, do I look like I give a about what a man thinks about my living space? I live here. So I'm going to curate it according to how I like it, not according to how some imaginary person that I don't even know, who may or may not enter this space, thinks. I'm the one that lives here. So as long as I enjoy it, I don't give a about what other people think, okay? You either like it or you don't like it, and it doesn't bother me. I'm not trying to live in your house. Next thing, under the you are bored category, is get a hobby. Like I said, consumption is not a hobby, and a hobby can be anything. It can be coloring in, it can be taking hot girl walks. It can be reviewing all the cafes within a 2 kilometer vicinity of where you live. It can be doing YouTube workouts. It can be learning a language. It could be learning a new skill. It could be picking up an old skill. You know, I think a lot of the times when people finish high school and like tertiary education, they just think learning is over. But I think that part of being alive is learning and evolving and creating. And a lot of the times people think that if something isn't my job, there's no point in me doing it. Or if I'm not making money off this thing, there's no point in me doing it. But I think that's just like capitalism brainworms. You can do things that you enjoy, and actually investing your time and money that you earn from your job into something that you actually enjoy that doesn't have to make money can be really fulfilling. I have made over 100 podcast episodes. I have so many TikTok videos, and I just do it because it's fun. Like, I have other things that pay me money and this is a fun way for me to exercise my brain, engage with the community beyond just the one that I'm in physically. And I just enjoy doing it, and I'm grateful when I have opportunities to make money off it. But I just do it because I enjoy it. Sometimes when you let like capitalist framework completely dictate the way that you live your life, you are becoming an agent of capitalism in a way that you don't even realize and is going to your detriment. In fact, I think that if we're going to be critical of these structures and have the mental capacity to deconstruct them, we have to think outside the box and do things that aren't just for profit and are actually for enjoyment and are actually like bettering your experience of the world, contributing positively to the world around you, rather than thinking that the world is just to serve you earning a profit. But you might have a full-time job doing one thing, and then you use money from that to invest in hobbies that you have outside of your work that are totally unrelated. You know, I always think it's really cool when I meet someone who's like a lawyer or a doctor or an accountant and they have some really unhinged hobby. I think it's great that people can have like this full spectrum of experience and you're exercising different parts of your brain every time you get a hobby as well. And you never know who you're going to meet or what opportunities are going to come up as a result of your hobby as well. Like, a lot of people tell me that they picked up this hobby and then they met their future partner, or they met their current best friend, or they were introduced to an opportunity that's related to their work, even though their hobby isn't related to their work. Open your mind. A hobby doesn't have to cost a lot of money. If you want to do expensive hobbies and you don't have money, maybe think a little more creatively about what you could do that costs less. And that in and of itself builds your confidence, because you are exercising creativity and critical thinking and problem solving and coming to different sorts of solutions and overcoming different kinds of challenges in the pursuit of your enjoyment. That builds your self-confidence and your self-trust, because you're realizing that I actually have the solution within me. I actually have it in me to come up with new ways of living, and I don't have to rely purely on outside circumstances to change in order for the way that I feel about myself and the way that I feel about life to change. Okay, so the next point, which follows on from being hot and having fun and exercising your free will and having hobbies, is enjoy your life. Okay, you are allowed to enjoy your life, because otherwise, what is the point of being alive? Just to suffer? Like, the suffering is inevitable, but what are you going to do instead of suffering? What is the contrast to suffering? You know, because we live in a universe that requires black and white, yin and yang, good and bad, happy, sad. All of these things are going to be part of the human experience, and expanding the breadth and the scope and the spectrum that we experience enriches your life. Okay, you can't just be sad all the time, and you can't just be happy all the time. Understanding each end of the spectrum is what gives you the perspective needed to feel like you're living life to the fullest, and to have a level of confidence in your ability to navigate this spectrum. If you're really happy, enjoy that, and know that if things turn, you can overcome it. When you're feeling, not enjoy it, but like lean into it and experience the full intensity, knowing that it's just a feeling, and coming to like a neutral emotional place, radical acceptance, as I mentioned in previous content. It means that you can make decisions in service of your overarching life theme or your overarching life purpose, being hot and having fun. Okay, if I'm sad, I let myself feel sad. I radically accept that sadness, and I think, okay, what can I do to be hot and having fun again? What can I do to move the needle so that we're moving along the spectrum in the other direction? It doesn't mean that when you're happy, you need to self-sabotage. Obviously, that's part of the 80% that majority of feeling that you want to experience. Enjoy it, but don't feel like there's something wrong with you, because that doesn't last forever. Life is like this, not like this, and more like this, okay? Upward spiral. Anyway, so that's part one. You are bored. When you start to fill your time more intentionally and you start to do things that you enjoy, you're too busy enjoying your life to care about what other people think, okay? The cringe naturally just kind of takes care of itself because you're like, oh, I'm cringe, but I'm free. Yeah, other people say this and that about me, but I'm enjoying my life, so I don't give a what you think, okay? Only when you're not having a good time, other people talking about you and being negative feels like it's affirming that. And then you feel like, oh my God, they're right, because I'm not living my life intentionally. People say all kinds of shit about me, and they always have ever since I was little, being considered a weirdo or whatever, or I have resting bitch face. But over time, as I started to be more intentional with the way that I was living, because I think when I was younger, I just lived without any real awareness, so I didn't understand why people were coming for me. But now I'm like, why do you even have time to think about me? Because I don't even know who you are. I'm too busy enjoying my life. I'm too busy going to the pole studio. I'm too busy making random ass content telling hot girls to break up with their ugly boyfriend. I don't have time to really care about what other people think. And then you can also reflect back on yourself and realize that you were being a hater when you used to care about what other people were thinking, or you did have too much free time to worry too much about what other people were thinking about you. Okay, so part one, you are bored, get a life. Part two, you are a hater. Okay, usually these two things go hand in hand, because if you're bored and you're not being intentional with how you spend your time, you can fall into negative thought spirals or negative thought traps because you are judging yourself in a low-key way, and as a result you judge others, and when you judge others you judge yourself, and this is like this spiral of negativity, self-affirming negativity. It's important that you work on how and if you judge others and if you judge yourself. Okay, so observe your thoughts and your feelings, and I talk about this in Hot Girl Habits again. Journaling, meditation, thought dumping, these are all practices that allow us to become aware of the thoughts that we have and what we attach to, what we don't attach to, in service of our overall life theme and goal. So it's important to start to relinquish judgment for other people and to not be in other people's business so much, okay? Sometimes when you are feeling not very confident or you feel very bothered by what other people say, it's because you are bothered by what other people are doing. You're constantly comparing yourself. What are they doing? What are they doing? And how do I measure up? How do I measure up? But radical acceptance of like your own unique journey, where you're at, the cards you've been dealt, and really being real with yourself about where you're at and what you need to do to be the person that you want to be or where you want to go, that will free you from comparing yourself to other people. Because if you think about where you come from, your life experience so far, for better or worse, and you accept it for what it is, then you can start to be really intentional about how to close the gap between who you are and who you want to be, how insecure you are and how confident you want to be. Start with a week where you observe your thoughts around your judgment towards other people. Think about the types of comments that you want to leave on social media. Think about the types of things that you say about other people, the things that you talk about with your friends. That can shift your perspective or to have like a bird's eye view on just how much you're judging others, and as a result judging yourself, because like what you say about others you ultimately say about yourself, especially when it's not coming from like a critical analysis POV. And a lot of people want to pretend that their judgment and the projection of their insecurities is in fact critique, when often is just being a hater, okay? And there's nothing wrong with being a hater every now and then, okay? I love to be a hater, but to what degree and for what purpose, okay? And am I just talking or am I being spiteful and nasty for no reason, okay? Everyone talks, nobody is above that, and anybody that acts like they are, I can't relate to you. But being honest about how much of your time and energy is spent being a hater is important. So I would start with like a week of developing an awareness around that, and then maybe extend it to a month and see if you can slowly pull back on your judgment of others. And when you want to judge other people or judge yourself, replace that or have some follow-up so that you can bring it to a more neutral place. Oh, you know, this person is so this and that, and it's so this and that, but you know what? Good for them. Or, oh, like I'm so this and that, I'm so blah, blah, blah. And then, but you know what? Good for me. And then how can we redirect the thought pattern so that it's not just self-defeating and it's like, but you know what? I'm doing my best. But you know what? I'm on the right path. But you know what? Who gives whatever language works for you, figure that out so that you can start to break that thought cycle and that loop. Redirect it into a neutral direction at first, if it's like really negative, and then into a positive one. But it takes time and it takes practice, but it's possible. You are doing that and also doing something that you enjoy and introducing new habits and hobbies into your life. These will go hand in hand and you'll start to see progress within a few weeks if you keep at it. The next thing is growth mindset. So a lot of people talk about growth mindset already. I mentioned the 80-20 rule. It's like having a foundation of what you're grateful for and then keeping 20% open to what you can't predict for. To get into a growth mindset, it can be as easy as just like, I'm grateful for what I have and I'm open to what I can't predict for better or worse. Okay, that's just like a simplistic way of me putting growth mindset. And I think that when you're judging other people and when you're judging yourself, you're like, oh, this is all there is. I'm nothing, blah, blah, blah. Things aren't going my way. And you're closing yourself off to the possibility of things that you can't predict for better or worse. And sometimes it is going to be for worse, but embrace that as a challenge that gets you back to the better. Okay, you never know what you're going to learn, who you're going to meet when you're going through a tough time, what opportunities will come to you, what perspective, what skills you'll learn through hardship that will allow you to slay at a later date. Okay, so even in times, 20% for better or worse. When things are good, 20% for better or worse, but always for better. Okay, always hope for better, but know that if worse comes, you can handle it. Okay, growth mindset, and the foundation of the growth mindset is practicing gratitude. Okay, practicing gratitude doesn't mean you have to be like delusionally happy about your situation if you're really not happy about it, but being able to be like, I'm grateful for this glass of water. I'm grateful for being able to go to sleep tonight. I'm grateful for being able to go to the bathroom when I need to. I'm grateful for this friend that I can confide in. I'm grateful for this video by Amber Killer that I'm watching. I'm grateful for this book that I'm reading. I'm grateful for whatever. Think of these things, and in your journaling practice, you can spend a month every day, write 10 things that you're grateful for. It's actually harder than you think. And it's okay to repeat things, but I want you to write with a little bit of detail. I'm grateful for the water that I get to drink every day that keeps me hydrated and keeps me thriving, keeps my body functioning, and that allows me to navigate this experience through this skin suit or something like that. Growth mindset, the foundation is gratitude, and working with the cards that you've been dealt. Like I said, radical acceptance. This is how it is right now, and it's because of all these things leading up, and that's okay. And this is who I want to be. Write those things down, and these are the things that I need to do in order to get there. So that's kind of like the hot part is what you want to be. The fun part is the things that required to sustain that, how you want to feel. And doing that just means that, again, you relinquish the need to compare yourself to others because you're accepting of who you are and the fact that your experience and who you are is very specific to you. Even if someone on the surface is from the same place as you, the same age as you, you're going to have a different personality. You're going to have a different response to different stimuli and experiences. There's no person that you're necessarily walking through life attached to. Like even conjoined twins can have slightly different POVs, okay? Because your consciousness is being filtered through a different brain. So working with the cards that you've been dealt. Because the creativity around that, like how you get from where you are to where you want to be, problem solving again, helps you to build confidence and self-trust. It's not just people validating you that gives you confidence. It's your ability to validate yourself and to experience your full potential or to exercise your potential in a productive way towards a North Star or overarching life goal. Next thing, reconciling with the fact that it's not the elimination of insecurity, it's the management of it, okay? A lot of people think confidence is, I'm never going to be insecure again. I don't know about that. Insecurities will come up still, but your ability to manage them will improve, and the amount of mental energy you place on them will be less and less the more you fill your consciousness and your life and your reality with things that you enjoy, with practices that are productive and creative for you and that bring you a sense of achievement, bring you a sense of satisfaction with who you are and your abilities. That will help you to manage insecurities. Even though I enjoy my life more than I did before, I still have moments of insecurity, but my ability to manage it is better. My response time is better and healthier because I've had practice at it. And I recognize that with growth comes new frontiers, okay? And with new frontiers comes things that you're not familiar with, comes things that you might not be certain on how to navigate. But Part of being alive and being hot and having fun is learning, is growing. And with growth comes discomfort, going from your comfort zone to the discomfort, to the growth zone, to the edge of your ego, to the edge of who you think you are, and you're building and expanding your self-concept. So that's how I think about dealing with insecurity. It's not that I'll never be insecure again, but I want to be able to better manage my insecurity, okay? So using that kind of language rather than shaming yourself or punishing yourself or guilting yourself because you feel insecure, it's okay. You're a person. You're going to feel that. You know, some people are just better at pretending they don't feel it in comparison to others, and the people who feel no insecurity at all, they are probably like sociopaths, and that's a very small percentage of the population. There's no reason why you should want to be a sociopath just to not experience insecurity. So think about it as you are just managing your insecurities. You're learning to become familiar with them. Treat it like, you know, a friend that's a little bit annoying and you just have to manage. You know, it's like, babe, don't worry about it. Managing your emotions and dealing with your insecurity. Subcategories to this would be positive affirmations, journaling, and thought dumping. I mentioned this in the Hot Girl Habits video. Write a script on the person that you want to be. I am. Write down traits and repeat this on a regular basis. And then I've also mentioned thought dumping, where you just write all the most unhinged things that you're thinking. So I tend to do like thought dump, which is like reflecting on life circumstances and situations and my mental response to it, my emotional response to it, and I just dump it all out, okay? The more hesitant you are to write something down, the more you should write it down, okay? The better it is for you to write it down. Not should, but you know what I mean. Relinquish judgment for your thoughts. And then on a separate page, you can write positive affirmation, positive script for who you want to be, what you want. And it's not always, at least in my experience, you never know how you're going to get the things that you want, okay? So just write it and put it out in the world with positive intention and live your best life. Do things that you enjoy, and slowly your reality will start to shift and your experience will start to shift, and you'll subconsciously be making decisions in service of being hot and having fun. Even if your script is, I am hot and having fun, I am hot and having fun, I am hot and having fun. Being hot means these things. Having fun means these things. Like, even if it's like that, write in a language that you understand, because it's a conversation between you and you, not between you and the world. Next thing, personal jokes. Have a sense of humor. Feel comfortable with like breaking the fourth wall with yourself. This allows you to depersonalize any thoughts that you have that are self-shaming or negative or validating your insecurities, etc. Being able to just be like, chat, what do we think about this with yourself? People don't want you to address all the different parts of your psyche because they want you to think that having multiple points of view of your own experience means you're mentally ill. But I think that there are different parts of your mind that are relevant to different parts of your experience in different contexts, and having an awareness of all these things and being able to hold space for them, having self-compassion, self-empathy, allows you to, again, have more awareness, and with the privilege of awareness comes the ability to make intentional choices. Sometimes you can get caught up in a thought spiral of like, I'm so insecure, I need to, and then you can just be like, yo, guys, let's pause for a second and reassess how we want to approach this. Is this helpful or not? Literally imagine yourself like Homer Simpson with the angel and the devil on his shoulder if you need to. You have all these different voices inside of you, and which one do you want to listen to? But instead of forcing one of them to shut up or disappear, hold space for them. You can listen to both points of view and then decide upon which thoughts you act on. So that's increasing the space between the thoughts and the thinker that I talk about. It's okay to like break the fourth wall with yourself, and also hashtag be real with yourself and others. Sometimes you just need to be like, I'm feeling insecure, I don't know what to do, with yourself or like with another person. Just being honest about that and having a sense of humor. But it's like, you know what, I'm figuring it out. Okay, whatever. What can we do? Don't feel like there's something wrong with you because you're insecure. Like, you are a person and that's part of the human experience. And being honest about that, I think, is really refreshing for a lot of people. But you don't want to be self-deprecating. You can be honest and authentic, but you don't want to spiral into self-deprecation, because that's a slippery slope, one on which I've slid down and I've had to like claw my way out of. So instead of sarcasm that comes from self-deprecation, you can have sarcasm that comes from self-affirmation and affirmation of others. You know what? I'm kind of flopping right now, but I'm going to get back to the slay. What can we do to slay tomorrow? And yeah, affirming yourself and affirming others in a positive way is a really under and overlooked part of confidence. Confidence is not just something that's self-serving, in my opinion. It's about being comfortable with who you are and encouraging other people to do the same. Not I'm the best and therefore everyone else has to be insecure. I feel good about myself, so everyone else has to feel shit. It's like, I feel good about myself and I want everyone else to feel good too. So we can feel good together and we can slay together. We can be hot and having fun together. Okay, so that's the next point I want to make. You want to encourage others. Have a purpose outside of yourself when it comes to being confident and being unbothered. If I feel good about myself and I'm living my best life and I'm doing things that I enjoy, I am going to be of better assistance to other people who want to do that. Some people don't want to do that, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to help you, and that's okay. But I'm going to focus my energy on the people who game recognize game. We're on the same wavelength. We want the same things. Even if the execution is slightly different, we're supportive and encouraging of each other. So encouraging other people. Avoid your pursuit of confidence and being unbothered being one that's like totally self-serving and selfish. Okay, think about how you being a better version of yourself is better for the world at large and your relationships around you. Next point, redefine success. A lot of the times we are just focused on how success looks and not how it feels and not how it might feel to get there. So be honest with yourself about what you think success looks like and how hard you're willing to work for that. And if you realize that you don't want to work for it, be honest with yourself about that so you can relinquish the idea that you're entitled to something that you're not working towards. Because in my mind, I think that anything is possible if you want it badly enough, but maybe you don't want it as badly as you thought you did. Maybe you just want the benefits and not the work that comes with it. And that's okay, because now you can redefine what it is you're working towards and how it's going to feel and how much effort you want to put in. Maybe you really want to do something and all you have to do is actually start to put an effort towards it. Maybe you thought you wanted something and you realized, okay, maybe it's not actually what I want. Maybe it's not actually as suited to me as I thought, and I can experience the feeling of satisfaction and the feeling of being productive with a different skill or with a different experience or with a different opportunity. Maybe you don't even know what you want because you've spent all your time just consuming content and buying things. You haven't been intentional about how you spend your time and how you actually pursue certain goals that you think that you have or think that you want to work towards, and you need to be honest with yourself about that too. Okay. And I think that success for me is a combination of material success, seeing actual rewards in your life for what you do, and also how you feel about it. I think it's very true that it's the journey, not the destination. And when you do things that you enjoy and you get a life, you learn to appreciate the journey, and destination that you had in your mind is actually just like different stops along the way. For example, I do pole dance, and it can take time to get a move at every stage of pole dance. Okay, there's always new things to learn, and it's easy to fixate on just being able to do certain moves and feeling like once you can do that, then all your problems will be solved and you'll be a pole dance master. But as with any physical activity or any practice in general, okay, once you master that move, then there's a new move to master or a new combination to master. And I realized I actually just enjoy the process of learning and going to class and being in that environment, challenging myself in new ways, learning those new moves, which I previously thought of as like destinations. They're just like different stops along the journey. I think about that the same way with my career and with content creating too. It's like, I just enjoy doing it, and any benefit that comes with it is secondary and it's motivating, but I can't just do it in pursuit of those things. So again, 80% journey, 20% destination. It doesn't mean you just do things aimlessly with no goal, but you can't just think that 80% of your satisfaction comes from achieving the goal and only 20% of the satisfaction comes from the journey. So look for things where you enjoy the journey 80% of the time, and 20% of the time meeting those goals is fulfilling to you, okay? Because sometimes the end goal is not fulfilling, and maybe you realize, okay, I can still do it in spite of the fact that I don't care about the destination. But if you're just like grinding and grinding for this destination and you don't enjoy the process, I don't know, you're going to be disappointed. So how you enjoy something is going to be different to how other people enjoy something, and what your tolerance and your bandwidth for challenge, that's going to be different too. Some people They love to suffer and push themselves. I can think about people that enjoy CrossFit and like triathlon. I don't enjoy that process, but some people do. But I'm not going to pretend that I enjoy things just because other people say they do when I don't. So I'm not going to be doing a triathlon anytime soon. But if you enjoy that kind of physical intensity and that journey, then by all means. But if you don't, and you're punishing yourself for no end, reconsider, because you have free will. You can actually explore other options for how you enjoy your life and start to develop an awareness of like what your threshold is and where your comfort zone and growth zone is and to what degree you're willing to push yourself at different stages of your life. It's an ongoing journey. Next thing, limit contact with negative people, content, and situations. There's a balance to be struck between exposure therapy, putting yourself in awkward positions that you're usually not comfortable with and forcing yourself to overcome it and like just eat the cringe or eat the awkwardness and let it wash over you and then realize that it's actually not a big deal and you can just have a sense of humor about it. That's important. But at the same time, you don't want to be unnecessarily feeding yourself this content or these sorts of experiences or these sorts of connections in a way that limits or hinders or wastes energy that could be applied in more productive ways. You might not realize that a lot of the content that you're watching is actually really negative and it's affecting your worldview. So spending some time just away from the news can be helpful, because I do know some people that are like really addicted to reading the news and looking at like negative things that are happening in the world, and therefore they lack like a sense of hope. They don't have space for like positive thoughts because they're filling their brain with negative information, and finding a balance with that. So I also talk about digital distancing and how not waking up and going to bed with your phone being the first and last thing that you see, comparing yourself to other people, etc., unfollowing people that make you feel insecure, limiting your exposure to accounts that are too curated and make you want to compare yourself to others, etc. Those are all important. You have free will. No one's forcing you to follow anyone, okay? You've created that story in your mind. Limiting your contact with negative people, negative content, negative experiences. Again, 80-20 rule. 80% of your time is you taking responsibility for your happiness, your confidence, living your best life, doing things you enjoy, so you don't have the mental capacity to worry about what other people think of you. And then 20% is like, okay, I'm moving out of my comfort zone into my growth zone. I'm putting myself in this socially awkward position. I'm putting myself out there and dealing with potential hate comments and negative feedback, but I'm not going to make that 100% of my experience. I'm not going to make that 80% of my experience. We're just going to lean into it, okay, and manage, because otherwise you'll just get too overwhelmed and you won't be able to deal with it. Being intentional about how you spend your time, and then also challenging yourself, but make it a healthy ratio. If you're coming from a people-pleasing mindset, sometimes it's easy to think that, okay, if I'm not insecure anymore and I'm confident and I'm unbothered, people are going to like me more. There's the mindset of wanting to be confident because you want to benefit, being too self-serving with it, and then it's detrimental to other people. And then there's wanting to be confident because you want other people to like you in a way that's detrimental to you. You're going to go out of your way to make yourself seem confident, but you're still like suffering on the inside and not doing it in ways that you enjoy. This is a slippery slope, because when you become confident and unbothered, a lot of people actually don't like you. Insecure people don't like you. And when you are insecure, it's possible that the people around you are insecure too, and you all validate each other's insecurity. So if you start to make moves to overcome your insecurity and become a better version of yourself, those people might hate you for it. There's nothing that can really prepare you for that process. I'm just letting you know in advance that that might happen, so that if it does, you can think back to me telling you this and be like, oh yeah, it's possible that they don't like me because I'm willing to move out of my comfort zone in a way that they're not, and they see that as a threat. But that's not my problem, because I'm living my best life and I'm still having a good time. If you're having a bad time watching me have a good time instead of like getting your shit together so we can have a good time together, that's not my problem, okay? So I just want to make that little side note, because I think there was a part of me that thought, oh, if I'm confident and I'm living my best life and I'm contributing positively to the world around me, like, you know, I'm going to be appreciated for that. And I am, but the people that I just assumed would want that for me because I wanted that for them. Just remember that. You want to be confident in a way that serves you 80% of the time, and maybe 20% of the time other people benefit too. But it can't be it only serves you 20% of the time and it serves other people 80% of the time, because 80% of the time is not enough for you to still maintain your best interest and to maintain like a connection to yourself. So keep that in mind. And then finally, we're all going to die. So what do you want to be thinking about on your deathbed? What do you want to flash before your eyes before you die? And I know that's dark, but it's very real, okay? Do you want to think about the things that you've done that had a positive impact on the world and all the things that you enjoyed? Or do you just want all those things to be you having time and feeling insecure? Because you're not going to be able to take your things with you into the next life or into the afterlife or whatever. It's just going to be what's living up in here. I think that's another thing. If you are afraid of thoughts of death, that's also a control tactic, because people will weaponize your fear or your lack of integration with your mortality and mortality in general as a way to control you. But if you're just like, well, whatever, I could not wake up tomorrow, but at least I've lived today to the fullest, even if a full day for me is chilling and doing some work and having a snack and a sweet treat and going to a pole dance class, I feel good about that. With all these things in mind, I hope that you start to give less and can live your best life. Confidence is being able to feel comfortable in a space. It's not being the loudest in the room. It's not being able to command the room necessarily. It's just, I'm here and I can re-regulate to who I am and I feel comfortable in who I am. It's not, I'm better than everybody else or I'm worse. It's just, I'm just here. No one's better than me. No one's less than me. But if anybody's thinking that, it's their problem. Okay, I just exist and I want to positively contribute. And if I'm not positively contributing, then I'll go somewhere else and try to do that elsewhere. That's how I think about confidence. But I think, at first you can get confused or you can get caught up in this idea. When you're insecure, you do believe there is like a value hierarchy and like, oh, this person is so much better than me or so much more valuable than me. But like, you are a person, you have inherent value, and it's how you use your time and your energy and you contribute to your life and the lives of those around you that's going to determine your character and your impact, not just who you or other people think you are better or worse than or whatever. You know what I mean? Anyway, let me know what you thought of today's video. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify and SoundCloud for mixes and music and playlists. And you can listen to my podcast, Friend Crush with Amber Killer. Like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube. Thank you for your support so far. Looking forward to 2025. Stay hot and having fun. Drink lots of water. Tell your friends and family you love them. And go be a better person. Love you. Speak soon. Mwah.